separates your shadows from my soul as these walls begin to fold. Head lost in the silence, cold stars illuminate the secrets on your tongue and the poison in my lungs. Where every path
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talent League Titan Series. I almost forgot for a second, but we're on to our second match and final match of today. It's going to be Dunlimited versus BEE Esports. I'm not going to pronounce BEE Esports because it is in Turkish and I'm going to butcher that horrendously. I think it's Turkish. It might be Hungarian, actually. I'm not going to double check that later. It's Hungarian. Thank you, Ren. This is why you're the analyst and I'm the host, because I know absolutely nothing. But again, I'm joined by Ren. As always, introduce yourself once again in case people are just tuning in.
Yeah, hello, I am Rensis. I am a caster, aka analyst with a bad PC for the first round who didn't need that. But yeah, that's not much about me to say. Again, I'm just happy to be on the Talent League. Yeah, I think we should go directly into the analyzing stuff. Yeah, and let's start with Dunlimited here, which is probably the more well-known team here, as they are the winner of the last Challenger League that has been played out against 10-Star with a 2-0 back in December, which they completely outplayed 10-Star. Which one of the mates, which Azure was, actually played him from the last game. Who was subbing on TT9. Yeah, okay. Let's go a little bit about Dunlimited. Since then, they dropped one of their players. It is the hard support. They dropped, I think it's Amir for Milon, who is new now. For B Esports, everything is the same. It's the same good, solid roster that came here from the minor of season 9. They did a solid third place. They did so good. They're a very strong gunner team that can really solidly play out a lot of rounds just committing to their gun skill. Yeah, and the thing is, Dunlimited is doing that as well, and because of that, I think we can see a very interesting game between two gunner teams, and I think this is gonna be exciting. And I don't think this is gonna go one way. This is gonna go into overtime. That's my expectation.
I mean, last game was an absolute banger. If you missed it on stream, make sure to watch it back on WOD. You know, TT9 played against White Tigers. It was thrilling. This is spoilers if you don't want to know it. 3, 2, 1. It was an 8-6 victory towards TT9. An absolute banger of a game, but that was the last one. We're going to go back onto this one, Dunlimited. The community predictions, because I almost forgot this last time. Dunlimited are a 62% chance to win according to the community, while BE only have 37.9, which is very similar to the last game we also casted. And obviously, the map that we're going to be playing this time is, drumroll please. Can I get a drumroll, Ren?
I can't do it with my mouth.
It works. It's going to be a cafe. We're going to play cafe. So for those in chat, I know there was one or two who were very sad that we're playing Oregon again. We're going to be playing cafe, and I'm not the biggest fan of cafe. I'm not going to go into it because we're already running a bit late on time, but we're going to go straight back into the game. So I'm going to just take it away to the casters because I think we're already lagging behind schedule. So Poobal and Puffer Bob, take it away and good luck.
Oh, I think he's muted.
Oh, my bad. I guess some technical issues. Doesn't matter. Hello, lads and gents. Welcome back to Talent League. A very fine introduction from the side of Rensis and Jagger. Thank you very much. And by none other, we're going to be joined by our lovely Poobal. Hello.
Hello. Well, how are you doing? We've got a good match ahead of us. Delimited versus BEE. I will join the group of people who will not attempt to pronounce BEE because I don't want to butcher the Hungarian language. So, nevertheless, very excited. Dunlimited is a strong team. We saw them throughout last year, only going up and up. Maybe didn't reach the heights they necessarily wanted to coming into 2023, going into Copenhagen. They couldn't qualify, but they certainly have something to prove here in Talent League.
Oh yeah, most definitely. As though we did hear that it's going to be Cafe today, and to be honest, this kind of puts me on edge since Dunlimited throughout most of their matches have seemed to be having a lot more better of a performance on Cafe than the side of BE Sports. So yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting match, but like Renz has mentioned, it's going to go into overtime. There's a pretty big chance. Both of these teams are very strong. They've shown how strong they are in the previous seasons. And, I mean, let's just hope they can kind of continue out this type of trend, can you say it? I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm happy it's not Oregon because any type of match that's Oregon kind of brings down your mood just as a caster. So, Cafe is a nice refresher to say the least.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Oregon. Everyone who's watched CG Sports has seen a lot of Oregon because it's just a map a lot of teams can play. So even when we go onto maps that are still quite common like Cafe, it is just quite refreshing going into these matches because you just get to see something different. And well, we're going to see probably a different style of Siege here compared to last match. We saw a lot of sort of utility focused gameplay, those observation gadgets coming in that are brand new today in the game. But I don't think we'll be seeing as much of that in this game. These are two quite frag-focused teams, Dunlimited, very fast-paced. It's really how they carved their way through Challenger League last year. So I'm just very excited to see this different style.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I haven't personally seen much of the side of BE Sports, but Unlimited most definitely has proved their way through, of course, multiple leagues, just multiple kind of showing their strength. Now, I'm kind of surprised we actually got Cafe. I mean, normally teams like you mentioned, Oregon is an all-out great map for, just players in general. Not a map for casters, don't get me wrong. We still hate it. But of course, it's not a map you can really go wrong with. Everyone knows it. It's kind of just the second you install Siege, you just have it installed into your memory. So it's that type of map. But, I'm actually interested to see what type of bans there are because we don't see a lot of Cafe. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Cafe is a great map and all, but it's not shown a lot. So there are most definitely different metas and strategies that can be used all around. And the operators bans, I mean, just an overall stat from the side of Dunlimited and kind of, BE Sports shows a bit more like default banish. You have the Mara, the Valkyrie, the Thatcher, but Azami and Solus kind of getting upbrought right now recently could still be a very viable option.
Well, yeah, especially last season, there was this sort of holy trinity of operators. You have the Valk, the Solus, the Azami. You'd likely see one of those three getting banned every match because they're just so potent. They're very strong. They're very flexible operators, very dynamic. So you would expect to see one of them getting banned because they are just too. I don't want to say sort of controversial, take a very strong point, but they are just too strong. To put it simply, Azami not really been nerfed at all. We've seen plenty of players make excellent use of that gadget, so we're likely going to see that ban. But we still might see these more standard bans, as you were saying, that both these teams historically have brought in.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to bring on the point about the strength of these operators. While you are correct, I'm kind of happy it's shifting the meta a bit more. Solus kind of brought in the fact that you can't rely on pre-placed drones as much as you could. I mean, you could ban her and then rely on that, but then you still have an Azami, a Valkyrie, or whatever the strongest operator on that specific map is. So, Solus is a very dangerous operator, especially on, let's say, smaller maps where she has just so much sight on these pre-placed drones, be it utility, anything really, and it's a really dangerous operator. Same with Azami. She's just that powerful. She kind of brings a tear to my eye just watching her absolutely demolish the competition, not only with time wastage, utility wastage, but just an overall good kit. I mean, she even has good gadgets, secondary, and guns. So, you can't really go wrong with Azami, and I feel like she's kind of outpicked Jaeger and some stronger operators if possible, and it's a bit more surprising to see if she isn't picked.
Yeah, apologies, folks. We are dealing with some technical difficulties here. I believe one of the Dunlimited players can't quite get into the lobby yet. First day of the season, these things happen. Just bear with us. We will get into this match soon. It's just a case of getting this player these invites that they might not be seeing. But on that point of the Azami, I do think it is nice just seeing different things. I think for spectating especially, maybe the players disagree, but for the viewers, you want to see something different season upon season, the Siege ecosystem kind of got a bit stale at points, but now with Solus, with Azami, we have seen this breath of fresh air. So it is quite nice to watch, even if maybe it teeters on the edge of not being particularly balanced.
Yeah, I mean, while we're kind of still waiting for the players, we can actually go and check out a bit of the, you could say, overall stats on these teams. And specifically Cafe, I mentioned earlier that Dunlimited may have a bit of an edge on their previous performance, and it's because they won 4 matches on Cafe, lost 1, no draws, as with BE Esports, it's kind of a bit more different, as with 3 wins and 3 losses, so, it seems like one of these teams has a bit more better of a handle on this map, and most definitely seems like they have more experience as in practicing it, going through scrims with it, all that type of stuff. So I'm kind of hoping to see maybe a bit, not, I wouldn't say cockiness, if you know what I mean, but I want to see, C4s through hatch, Shaiko below skylight, that type of stuff.
You would expect Unlimited to maybe be not exactly playing with their food, but there is
Yeah.
quite a significant gap, you would say, because Unlimited, they won Challenger League last year. And because of the current sort of state of the Siege competitive scene, we're in this very sort of strange position where a lot of teams of varying skill levels are coming together. So Talent League, we have teams all the way from Tier 1 to Tier 4 playing together. It's a great sort of opportunity for these Tier 4 teams. But at the same time, you can't necessarily expect to be winning every one of these matches when you're against a team like Dunlimited, who were just so good last year, and even coming into this year, they've looked very good. So, we would expect to see this sort of more aggressive side of Dunlimited really shining here, because they would have the confidence to take these gunfights against the less known side of BE.
Yeah, I'm sure they kind of realize that themselves, they are most definitely a lot more experienced, I would say. I wouldn't necessarily call B like a really major underdog or something. They still have a chance, but Dunlimited in the position they are, they can play a lot more relaxed, a lot more aggressive, or just try things out, you could say, at this point. Maybe there's strats that they haven't necessarily put up to the test. They could as well use it on Cafe, since it is one of the more rare maps that we get to see besides, Skyscraper and Theme Park, and Border even. But yeah, no, Cafe, I feel like for them could be a really good test place. Yet again, I really don't want to make it sound like they're just gonna straight up bully BE Sports. There's been cockiness involved in most T4 matches, or at least a lot of them, and we've seen it doesn't work out well all the time. Neither does extra aggression. So
yeah, just go back to that last match. We saw TT9 getting very overconfident. They were planting without cover, and they paid for it. White Tigers were really good at shutting down those quite cocky plays from TT9. So by no means will Dunlimited be able to just sort of walk straight through this. They're going to have their guard up. They're going to have to be playing well still, because B could easily take this map off of them. It's a best of 1 especially, so there's no real opportunity to learn and grow from your defeat. If you lose the map, that's the match over, I'm afraid.
yeah, it's gonna be a bit rough around the edges, but what is also kind of entitling me to watch Cafe as of current is most definitely the not necessarily the play style or maybe the strats, but mostly I would say the operator bans. What would the meta be on Cafe? I'm not really used to it, so I'm not guessing it would be necessarily Thatcher, because going for piano wall and freezer wall isn't hard. You can most definitely use verticality, windows, all that type of stuff. So, Thatcher's out of there. I'm saying Mira, most definitely. Mira with someone like Solus or Azami is definitely going to be putting out of the roof instantly. But what would you say for the attacking side?
It's a real toss-up. We've seen some teams opting for those Takaibi bans because Takaibi makes that roam clear a lot easier. Some teams will just still go with Thatcher bans because it's kind of second nature. So we might just see that go through, because a lot of teams just aren't really aware. They don't think about how to play with Thatcher on board, so if they can't necessarily think of something, they'll just ban the Thatcher as a sort of default. But it really is a team by team thing. We've even seen some really just sort of strange bans like Ace. I've seen teams ban Ace here just because of the range hard breach, but it really varies team by team. I think we might head to a break here, because we're still just having issues with that 10th player coming in. So I think we're heading to a break, just because I'm sure you might be sick of just seeing our faces and hearing us talk for so long. You want to see some Siege going on. So I think we're heading to a break here, I would imagine. Can I get confirmation from the producers here? Okay, I think we're heading to a break. So we'll see you very soon. Apologies, first day of the season, these things happen. But We're heading to a break. When you next see us, the match should all be ready to go. We should have all 10 players in the lobby. We should be ready to just get going with this match because very exciting match. So we'll see you in a bit.
All right, welcome back. I hope you had 2 sips of lemonade because it's not going to last very much long as we're going to be heading into Cafe pretty much right now. So, yeah, pretty much now we can start about Cafe, we can start about the bands, and we can mostly see what these players are going to bring us. Most definitely, especially from the side of Dunlimited. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Aces, anything possible to come out of these two teams, especially from B Esports, if, Dunlimited does decide to get overly aggressive, overly confident. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. We should be seeing a very high tempo match of Siege here because these are two very fast paced teams. Dunlimited, I would say they're the second sort of best Russian team now. We have that Virtus Pro roster who used to be Team Empire, and they're a very slow paced roster, but Dunlimited, quite the opposite, very fast paced. And we're seeing a Flores ban here, which, well, maybe wouldn't exactly swing that way because, well, Flores tends to be a very useful operator for these fast pushes, right? Because he provides so much utility to disable these power positions and just allow your entries to get in quick. And we're seeing that Thatcher ban as well. So we are seeing two operators that would quite complement a fast play style getting banned very early on. So maybe this is all being turned on its head, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still surprised about the Thatcher ban, but of course, the Flores, I can see why. You mentioned that his utility courage is off the hooks, but what I'm actually interested in is in how easy access he has to site with his drones. I mean, there's skylight, there's hatches around site. He can just, and downstairs there's an infinite amount of drone holes and just entries that he can get in quite easily, to be honest. So, he has a lot of access to these so-called gadgets to, do his job. So, with that, a very good operator and a good pick. Second off, it's going to be Valkyrie on the side of defense, joined by Solus, of course. Regularly, I was expecting a bit of a Mira, because Mira upstairs is an absolute menace. Even downstairs and on Fireplace, you can mention her. But upstairs, and that's just PTSD dread right there. I mean, you absolutely get scared when you see that black window. But yeah, we're going to be going into kitchen service. And, I feel like this map kind of works similar to Oregon. You can pick downstairs or upstairs. Both are good, depending on your playstyle.
Yeah, it is a very sort of team decision to make. They're quite strong. I would say, the kitchen site is more strong than that cocktail site because Cafe quite uniquely has that skylight, which is a problem that no other map really provides. It certainly gives a lot of very easy pressure on the side of the attack. So a lot of teams do tend to go to this kitchen site, but I think something we don't see very often because it's brand new. Jaeger with the observation blocker again. That's twice we've seen that today. Jess was saying doesn't quite feel right, and I have to agree with her. Not seeing that barbed wire on the Jaeger player is okay. We have a rehost, but not seeing the barbed wire on that Jaeger player does just seem quite odd to me because we've seen it so long, but. The observation gadget, the observation blocker gadget even does have a lot of merit towards it. We've seen very fun, like basic footage of it from the reveal and how it could be used, but it provides a lot of potential sneaky little things the defense can employ. But looks like we're going to a rehost again. We'll be in this match very soon. I promise. We will get gameplay very soon. I assure you. But on the topic of those bans, if we just rewind a little bit. Something that really strikes out to me there is Azami is going to be very powerful because Flores often brought as that one key counter towards that operator because you can afford to use those 4 drones to destroy 4 of those barriers. You don't have to invest as much other utility from a variety of operators because you can just put all of your Flores drones on that mission. Without that Flores and without the Thatcher as well, you're going to be seeing a lot of time wasting coming in from that Azami, from Jaeger, potentially even Wamai as well. It's just going to be a very slow clear, and that could really be a sort of thorn in the side of these teams. We were just boasting how fast-paced they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because they're going to have to bring in most definitely a bit of a change to say. I mean, a Zofia and Ash or someone with some sort of explosive power is going to have to get brought in, at least if you don't want the Zombies to be giving to you at least too much trouble. So, the Flores ban and outpicking Azami is going to be most definitely a good start off for defense. But attack is going to be a bit different because, if they decide to use the Azami against you, it's also kind of difficult to play against it. But I'm assuming the ban did come in just because, the team was expecting to use Azami themselves. Now, yeah, I mean, we're still having a bit of technical difficulties as per usual. But, yeah, I mean, it's...
break. Okay, this will be a very short break. I promise you. We're just getting the service set up on a bit of a more convenient region for both teams. There looks to be no sort of player side issues, so this should be a very short break. Stick with that. We promise there is Siege to come. This isn't a scam. There is Siege gameplay to come. Please just stay there. 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
Hello, welcome back. I guess you could have had a bit more sips now and then, but we're finally back. Hopefully, set up fully as we're going to be heading into round number 1 of the Limited versus B Esports. Now, we were on the talk of Fenrir a bit on this map and the new operator. So, what do you think, Bobo? What do you think? Where could he actually be? Like, is there a specific site or a specific angle, I'll say, specific situation where he could actually, like, shine?
Well, it would likely shine on those positions where the attackers would have to be funneled in. So
Yeah.
you're thinking maybe around White Stairs, potentially, even something like the Hatch Drop. Just putting an already vulnerable position for the attack into something even more deadly. That's where I mainly see the strength in Fenrir's gadget, because it is so very strong if you're already caught out of position. Of course, things would change if, you just put it on a corridor or something, because first off, you can destroy it before even getting in its range, or you can just avoid it entirely. So around corners, around hatch shots potentially, positions where the attack like to get in quite quick. So maybe even bakery, we would see that being used around, because a lot of teams will tend to just invest a utility and quickly push in to dislodge a defender. We're not seeing any placed yet, which sort of suggests to me that Haribo is waiting to see where the push comes in, which is already something Fenrir excels at because of the activation aspect of that gadget. So it's definitely something we're going to have to be keeping an eye on, because still 4 in pocket. He's just waiting, clearly just waiting to see where the attack comes from.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be used in a sense like Malusi, or at least similar, but we do know that B Esports is very aggressive. They are an aggressive team, so I'm assuming right now, when this gadget does go off, there could be some pre-fires coming out on these so-called angles that the attackers need to push, or, just the places where they get, set off. So Fenrir plus aggression just fits an absolute massacre onto the side of defense, so it could most definitely be a very useful gadget for that playstyle. For defensive playstyles, I can't see it as much besides it being or working similar to a Malusi. But let's actually take a look at what we're going to be having here, and it's most definitely going to be a very split push. I mean, we have the Yin coming in white, just trying to clear it out. You want to get that freezer cut off on the rotation, or just a bit more of, sightlines, and going main as well. And of course, we have the Dokkaebi just roam clearing, and there's going to be gunfights any second. Right now, they're kind of just going for intel so they can get themselves into the nice execute at the end.
Yeah, shots are fired. Nordwind sends that nade into Kochev, but immediately goes back out. Meanwhile, we've already seen Nordwind go back in, get that player down. We see Ati is down, or the Wamai dead, potentially has put down all his gadgets. We still have on that Jaeger, so there is plenty of defense for, the defense. And we're seeing Ivy double down on that entry. B, the aggressive playstyle has not worked out well for them. We have commented that they want to get those entries, but so far they're staring down a 2 versus 5. QQH, the super sub, getting that pick in the first round.
Oh, shots are coming out. It's a 4v1 situation, and of course, we saw one refrag, or a bit of a trade, you could say, from the side of B Esports, but Dunlimited is absolutely shutting them down, and, a bit of a misguided push we had, not misguided push, but actually misguided defense we had on the side of B Esports. I mean, they were playing aggressive, but those shots coming from the side of Dunlimited shut them down. They kind of zoned them to a specific point where it was fight or die. So, they took the fight, sadly didn't work out, and round number 1 is going to be going to the side of Dunlimited. And, with how they've been performing, even this first round, we can already see that they are ready. They're not necessarily aggressive, but they are when it needs to be. They push at the correct time, they shoot back, and they have clear intel, which is one of the most important things in this game. So with that combined, I mean, it's just an absolutely deadly force. So yeah, strategies also seem to be working quite well in their favor, as, I mean, Fenrir may be a bit of a use, but he still gets, he still can't really deny as much intel as you'd imagine.
Yeah, it wasn't really a great showcase for those 2 new pieces of technology coming with this season. We saw the observation blocker was used. It didn't really deter Nordwind on that nuke. He just buzzed a drone right past it, saw the position was clear, and immediately went in. And elsewhere, Haribo with those Fenrir gadgets, he just immediately destroyed. We didn't see any activations, I don't believe. It was just very clinical from Dunlimited there. Clearing out those gadgets, their intel was good, as you were saying. Just a very easy round for them, ultimately.
You know, you previously mentioned that there was an Ace ban, which I'm actually taking into account. I like this. You know, they're not necessarily going to be going for a main breach. I mean, there isn't much of a main breach to go for with the amount of, you know, footholds, head holes, rotations that the defenders are bringing up. But, you know, still bringing a Ying to kind of clear out these walls to make themselves feel a bit more spread out, to give themselves more angles and more advantages for the defending side. They're most definitely, you know, just bringing all the secondary gadgets and the primary gadgets with the operator to kind of fit the place out. We also have the Amaru. I'm not too comfortable. Actually, I'm going to take it back. It was the Yana with the nades. I was going to say there's no nades or no soft utility destruction. We have the Ashe. We have the nades. This is completely fine. And then the Dokubi, which is currently one of the stronger operators on attack. I mean, amazing intel, which kind of bypasses Fenrir's ability due to just audio itself. And then, of course, the guns aren't too bad, and flashes always come in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Rorik on that armor, as he was just saying. They've crept their way into Pillar. We could potentially see Hazard getting caught off guard here. The Ying just buzzes right by, does end up flashing him. Potential opportunity for Rorik here, but the players in Unlimited are just, you know, very passive here. And Hypex, he gets that push just shut down by the Fenrir gadget. Haribo gets the pick on QQH, and elsewhere, Rorik and Nordwind go down. A drastically different round, as now it's Dunlimited in that 1vx situation. 1 versus 3 for Ivy. He sees shots coming from the VIP area, goes back to Coat, doesn't really know where to engage this from. He has to isolate these 1v1s. He has a good gun for the job, but not that great positioning.
Oh, a very good shot indeed from all these players, and B is right now keeping up very darily, as I mean, it was, oh my goodness, we're down to the last minute, and it's back to a 1v3, so these situations are looking quite similar. I mean, also shutting the Ashe out of sight right now, the reinforcement, she can't really break that wall herself, and I mean, with the rotations they've set up on the side of defense, it's also interesting that you don't need a Mute, you don't need a Kate, you don't need a Bandit necessarily, because even if they do break the wall's already open for the defenders to kind of roam through. So, you know, a very effective strategy they had. They kind of out-aggressed, you know, Dunlimited right there. I mean, they went for refrags in an instant, but even then, Dunlimited couldn't keep up. I mean, they got one frag, they managed to waste their utility. Fenrir's ability, as we saw in Yana, actually pushed out the operator back from white. So, you know, a very kind of like scary operator to go up against. I mean, you can be shooting at nothing and the guy could see you fully. So it's a bit of an interesting way to use it. I mean, that's how it should be used, to be honest. But yeah, very well played from B Esports, winning the first round, aka round number 2, as we're going to be going on to Reading and Fireplace.
Yeah, it was really just the opposite story of round 1. It was actually a very good showcase of that new gadget. Fenrir, as you said, just flushed Hypex out. It was one of those positions we were talking about where the attack want to push quick, but they just simply couldn't. They were not given that freedom, and Hypex doesn't want to take a blind gunfight, quite rightly, so he just walks back out white stairs. Can't take that position, and that gives B so much more freedom to keep that defense going, keep those players in VIP, just overall keep pressure on the map. So a very good showing from both B and the new operator. Definitely selling those battle pass tickets right there. Players seeing the value of that operator. So well done to B. But we don't see how they fare now. They don't have the Fenrir, but they still have that Azami, who was a key piece of the defense. We saw the protection given on that bar position, despite a Ying, despite an Amaru close by. They were just completely safe there. We saw nothing being used to really destroy those Azami barricades, and well, if Dunlimited don't solve that puzzle that's presented to them, they're going to have a lot of trouble attacking onto Cafe here.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the Zami kind of just protected that herself. I mean, and behind the bar, and the Jaeger was also there just in case anyone pushed up, so they couldn't really get pushed from main or the side of Christmas window. So a very well executed just over and all. But let's actually see what's happening over here. I mean, we're going to be going. It's Fireplace, you know, but with most sites in general in Siege, you have to extend. You have to extend up, left, right, to some, you know, important point that you don't want the attackers taking clear of, due to verticality, due to important sight lines. It's all that type of stuff. And we're going to be going upstairs. So right now, the Zami already, we see her in action as we see Volmai getting into some beef. And Ying actually being so popular on the side of Dunlimited is an interesting pick, especially for, the sides that we're actually being faced with.
Yeah, it's just a very good way of cutting out those defenders, cutting up these positions, and we're seeing that use that big clearance by that Ying. They didn't even need to get in a gunfight, but, well, Hypex doesn't check all his angles. Hazard gets that pick, and suddenly vertical control, while still nice for the defense, it's no longer necessary. With Sledge off the board, that massively reduces the amount of damage the attack can deal, just given these positions. So now B should really be focused on potentially getting out, but Ivy, perhaps a blind spray through the smoke there, maybe, or just a tight angle, gets rid of Hazard. Faces a bit more damage, but he's in such a strong position on this rappel here. Garen fully flashed. Nordwin gets another pick, and suddenly it's gone. The tides are suddenly in favor of the attack here. Dunlimited getting another pick.
Oh, yes, but there's going to be an Aruni with one pick onto the side of the Ying. She gets refragged instantly. It's a 3v1 situation. I mean, the Aruni was kind of holding the team together, at least for the verticality side. She was just trying to waste as much time as possible, and she did well, but not for long enough. 1 minute, it's still on the clock, although they don't have much verticality, just utility in general. They don't have a sledge. They don't have any nades or any soft breaches to go along with, and they're facing a mute. So, with that in mind, I mean, it's most definitely going to be a bit more of a tough situation, especially with, close range SMGs and shotguns just being a very good, just on this side, it seemed like a very good position to be using your guns at. And the plant is down. I mean, we're 40 seconds in, and of course, there comes the 417 in hand, finishing it off the final player. So very well played from Dunlimited. I mean, they started off pretty badly. You mentioned the sledge getting taken out and the utility damage he could have caused. Yes, especially with verticality. That's why you bring the sledge. That's why you bring the buck, so he can do verticals. And when the diffuser is planted, you can just watch from above, safe and sound.
Yeah, and in fairness to B, it was still very doable for Dodo there because of that sledge pick early on. He had quite a lot of freedom to move around that site. He did opt for the retake rather than to deny the plant, which, these rounds sort of fall on these decisions, and ultimately Dodo did make the wrong decision there. So it leads to Dunlimited getting their second attacking round. But it was a very nice bounce back. They lose that opening pick, but they came back in it. The guns were just hitting their shots. A lot of just cut-off angles that it didn't seem like B were aware of. We saw it was Hazard on the Azami in VIP, had no idea he was being watched from the other side of the map. So Dunlimited were really good in those angle games early on. We need to see if this success continues onwards or if B really wise up to these angles. But overall, it's really encouraging to see a team go down a player, such a crucial player, and bounce back like that. It really just does well for your mental, and it just shows you're a very strong team. We know Dunlimited is a strong team, and it sort of shows that they aren't playing around. They mean business, despite their sort of higher position, you could say, compared to B.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, even with the sledge gone, as we've been kind of just mentioning on and on, because sledge is an important aspect, we gotta talk about it a bit. Even with the sledge gone, they still managed to kind of push B Esports out of their comfort zone. And, it seems like B Esports is likely, prompt to taking second chances. We're going to be going back to Fireplace again. So, maybe this time the sledge is going to be out of the match, but we still do have the Ash. So, we still have some sort of backup. While she is a bit better of a fragger, she has claymores, she can kind of outfrag Sledge in situations. She's most definitely not a better vertical position player. So, that's going to be a bit of an interesting sight to look upon. But the strategy is still the same. You want to take the verticality, want to push the defenders out, flush them, even kill them if you have to. And Ying's perfect at doing that job, as it, again, is going to be the Saw Breacher getting taken out. It's Hypex, and another two kills coming in from the side of Dunlimited. Actually, 3 making it a 3v2 situation. B Sports looking with Y, and the Warden alone at the end. There comes a very nice frag onto the side of White Window, and now it's a 2v1 situation, and oh my goodness, a 1v1 right now, heading on to the last seconds.
Yeah, Nordwin and Haribo in these positions. Nordwin spamming those flashes down the corridor. Perhaps doesn't know Haribo's on that Warden, so those flashes are not going to deter him. Congratulations to Unlimited for making it this far, evening it out to a 1 versus 1. It was a very sort of bad start yet again, but once again, they bounce back. But Haribo sends some shots through the soft wall. Nordwind, he knows the position. He has that more powerful gun, but you only need one shot to the head. Haribo knows this, brings out the SMG, but Nordwind wins it out. 1 versus 1, still a clutch, still another number to add to those clutches in his career. So, just great play from Dunlimited there. I was shocked. It looked like they were going into a 5 versus 3, but 2 quick picks even out to that 3v3, and from there on it just went blow for blow, trade for trade, until we got down to that 1v1, and it was just a better gun skill from Nordwind winning it out in the end.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Dunlimited did seem to have the edge a bit more towards the start. I mean, they went to a 3v2 situation, even 4v2, I believe it was at one point. But of course, the Warden on one side, he managed to get one. And of course, and a refrag came in instantly. Warden just, she's pushed back. He pushed back with his full force, and then, it came down to a 1v1 in the set and the last few seconds. And of course, Dokkaebi will be the one winning it as we're heading on to Mining and Fireplace. Now this... Oh, if this were Siege 1 year ago, this would not be a sight we could see, as we're going to be seeing a lot more new faces, at least from the side of defense. We're going to be seeing the Mira and the Castle. Also, the Alibi, I believe, I'm not sure if she has been seen yet. But yeah, the Castle right now, I'm just going to mention it straight out. You do want those windows to be blocked off. I mean, windows on this side, especially on mining, not only do they kind of give a very comfortable position to the attackers. They have a whole balcony to work with, watching red, watching the site itself. It can also be used for upstairs because you still need to extend. That doesn't change, and that's where the Mira can come in very easily, just to prevent that sort of verticality for the attackers and kind of prevent the area clearage as quickly. But yeah, I mean, we're not going to be seeing too much of sledge action here. We're just going to be going for an A build, and of course, an Amaru, because who doesn't like some strong guns?
Yeah, and it feels like the Mira here is really what B need to sort of stay into this. They need an operator that can really just delay a lot of time, can really slow down this push from Dunlimited. And they're hoping Mira will achieve this. We aren't seeing any hard breach, so these Miras are likely going to stay up as long as they don't get naded from below, but we do have sort of a wealth of nades here for the side Dunlimited. We have that Nook, we have Diana, so B have to be playing both floors very cohesively together. They have to be watching each other's backs because a stray nade through the floor can just be a guaranteed death, and Hypex goes in on the Amaru to try and clear this position, but I think it's clear. Nevermind gets a kill with the shotgun. Rorik pushing up pillar, gets another, and B once again in a man disadvantage.
Oh, this is going to be looking bad. I mean, we already got the Mira and the Warden out. Mira with the C4 could have come in useful and handy a bit more later as one gets dropped onto the side of the Dokkaebi. So it seems like Nordwind is not going to be clutching up this round, not at least, but evening out the odds just a bit more for the side of B Esports. They still have a chance. The verticality still seems to be in action, but it seems like they're going to be going straight for site. Dunlimited right now is full focusing on site itself. A very bad attempt at a run out from the side of the Castle. Garen, that was not a gamble you should have taken. The smokes are coming out. Apex gets one. It's a 4v2 situation, but the plan is still going to be getting brought out. Oh, what a shot from the MP5K coming onto Rorik. This is really close. It's a 3v2 situation. I mean, right now, the Ying doesn't have any more gadgets, but Dodo has a lot of firepower. He takes out one. It's going to be QQH, as right now it's back to kind of a 2v2 / situation.
Yeah, but it's far from an even situation here. The time really running against the side of B, and Dunlimited can just play, wait. If he gets the double with that LMG, shuts down the 2 remaining defenders, and puts yet another round on the board for Dunlimited. That's 3 in a row, I believe. I think there was a bit of a clash early on, B winning that second round, so not quite 4 in a row, but still a formidable streak being built by Dunlimited here. And the pace, it's not slowing down at all, Bob. They just keep going in. They keep getting these picks. Fantastic entry game from Dunlimited there. I'll have to see the stats at the end, but they've surely been on top throughout this match.
Almost definitely. They may, like you mentioned, they may not have gotten 4 rounds in a row, but there's one thing we do know for sure. they have a 5-game win streak right now. This could be their 6th for all we know as we're going back downstairs. And this, may I mention, this is the last round before the role swap. So things could be, the tables could be turning any second right after this match. Maybe BE Sports could be just absolutely off the hook on the side of attack. Or maybe same for Dunlimited, vice versa for the side of defense. So we're going to have to see how that gets into play. I'm still actually curious if Dunlimited themselves are going to be using Fenrir. As we can see, he's very useful. I mean, especially on these pushes that are kind of reliant on these tight-ish hallways, not necessarily big rooms. So Fenrir right there can be a very deadly operator. I mean, we have the shield on Christmas as well, so that just makes it even worse. You have extra protection, the enemy can't see you, and I mean, you have full sight of them, so what's there not to like? Now, we're going to be also on the side of defense, actually on the side of attack, it's going to be done with a blitz on Sens, and of course, to finish it off, a Brava. So, yeah, what could the plan be here?
This has got to be a fast execute, and I'm not really a fan of how aggressive Garen is here. He is the key to shutting this down, but he's not looking. Hypex doesn't even need to flash him. The Warden off the board. Nordwind doubles down onto Hazar, and this is going to be a slaughter. They have more than adequate tools for the job here to cut off the defense. 4 versus 2. Atiz does manage to bite back, but still staring down. Oh, never mind. Atiz gets another. It's becoming more and more doable. Rorik taken down as well. Dodo Atiz potentially about to pull off this 2 versus 5. It's Nordwind and Ivy on that attack. They have to try and isolate these defenders. They can't allow themselves to get traded out because even an even man count here does favor the side of the defense here.
Oh my goodness, it was looking so Dunlimited sided. The Bloods got kind of just allowed his team to get 3 kills at once. He himself got 2, but of course, the 417 coming out from the side of main managed to pick off the Azami that was flashed. So that Bliss was just absolutely an absolute master play. But of course, a very nice shot from the Jaeger coming out from this side of Bakery and finishing it off. It's going to be the Wamai on to the side of Red. And wow, it was a 5v2 situation. And then, of course, oh my.
It's another example of these sort of what we'd consider to be higher tiered teams. Maybe not exactly sort of dotting their I's, crossing their T's, trying to skip out on the execute a bit. We saw a fantastic start, that 5 versus 3, but then they let it slip. They give away these one-on-one engagements. They lose these gunfights, and it just keeps just trickling down until they suddenly just lose 5 men in a row. It was just not a good sort of execute off the back of a really good start, a really good opening pick from Hypix there. Didn't even need to use his gadget to kill the Warden. A duel you'd never really expect to see going that way, but he just makes it work. And now Dunlimited, maybe they have their momentum a little bit stunted going onto this defense. Still a fantastic attacking half, 4-2, I'm sure we both agree. Very good start to the map. But esports is momentum based, right? You can see teams dropping rounds they should win if the mental isn't exactly in it, and losing a rush like that could potentially really harm the Limited in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I mean, with the Blitz, it was almost obvious that they were gonna win. I mean, a 5v2 situation. Yeah. After that, it kind of just crumbled. I mean, it was absolutely perfect up until the point. The Blitz used his teammates and himself just to kind of cut off any type of refrag potential, just to allow his teammates to get these perfect angles and perfect frags. But I mean, after that, it just seemed that they allowed BE Sports to put them in 1v1 situation. I mean, the Ying on Freezer she was holding an angle, yes, but it was still a very risky one, especially against a Warden who's a direct counter to the gadget, and just in general has a better perspective, it seems like, on the situation. So, kind of putting that into account, it was a very deadly way to go about it, especially, putting everyone into a 1v1 situation is most definitely hard to go around. And that's kind of how rounds like these are lost.
But now onto this first round, this second half, we're seeing something very unusual. We're seeing this cocktail site being played. We saw B completely avoid that going into Cafe, but well, Dunlimited, they're open to challenging this problem, to seeing if they can provide a solution here. The skylight is going to be a big point of contention. Obviously, you don't want to just get picked off from these quite one-way angles. We're seeing Rorik trying to maybe bite back, but so far no attackers are going for that angle. nevertheless, it is something they have to pay constant attention to. It's a particular weakness of this site where sort of elsewhere it's quite strong, but that skylight is just a real sticking point. And so far, not a lot of damage exchanged both ways. QQH getting very cute on that window, but shut down by a tease. B have that opening pick. It's now a case of compounding it, getting a more of an advantage, seeing if they can just lock out this defense like they've shown they can do time and time again.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we're already seeing some verticality from the side of Nordwind right now coming in from the laundry. Could be a very deadly way to push things through. Aurora going onto the position of the Legion couldn't be a very smart decision, but I mean, right now the sledges are expecting it. This could be going one way or another, but Red and Bar pretty much are getting pushed fully, or should I say, not Cocktail, it is Cigar. Yes, yeah, Rorik still, he's tempted. He very much is, and this could work out. He could run out any second, just jump out. Oh, it seems like not, as of course, yeah, it's gonna be the sledge. Just a very unfortunate timing we had there, and with 35 seconds on the clock, oh my goodness, what a shot from the side of the sledges. Of course, we're brought onto a 4v4 situation. Half a minute left, you can't really do much. I mean, you're gonna have to push in at some point as Hypex gets one, and of course, oh, what a shot from the side of, you know, Hypex, a double kill, instantly getting dropped. Haribo gets one back onto Hypex, and Nordwind seems to be down, so right now it is really a 2v1 situation. No C4 on the side of the Warden. Plant is going down, and of course, there it is. It's going to be Haribo finishing it off.
Nice response from B there. They get that opening pick, so good from them, but then they do sacrifice picks. We saw Rorik, I believe, getting very aggressive on that white window, but, well, the aggression doesn't really pay off on the whole for B. We saw Dunlimited, sorry, we saw one of them jumping out because they were running up white stairs. I'm not sure what intel they were playing off, if they just had a feeling there was someone that repelled there, but it didn't really work out well. It left that lone defender having to retake from all the way downstairs. They had him pinged, they knew exactly where he was. So we saw the aggression just not really pay out for Dunlimited there, and, well, we're not going to see them redo that site. They've maybe learned their lesson. They're going to this kitchen site, which saw the only bit of success for B. Dunlimited hoping they can replicate it and also do a little bit more on their half. Going down to his kitchen, we're seeing quite a different hold. No Azami, no Fenrir. We're seeing the Goyo and the Warden sort of coming in. That good sort of delay. The Warden especially really just, he doesn't provide any gadget.